Welcome back to Green is Good, and today's a very special edition of Green is Good. We've got the co-founders of Conscious Company magazine, Meghan Dunbar and Maren Keeley on with us. Welcome both of you to Green is Good.
Thank you so much for having us on today.
Hey, Meghan and Maren, before we get talking about your great new magazine for our listeners out there, you could go to ConsciousCompanyMagazine.com to look at their magazine online, to subscribe to it, or to buy single or multiple issues. Before we get talking about Conscious Company Magazine, talk a little bit about both of your journeys. How did both of you get involved with the green and sustainability industry at first?
Yeah, so this is Meghan, and my story actually started multiple years ago. I was living in Costa Rica for a long time and actually saw kind of firsthand how development really impacted these beautiful, pristine, gorgeous areas, and decided when I returned from Costa Rica to go straight to work for Environmental Defense Fund, where I spent 5 glorious years, and then decided to kind of further my education from there and did my MBA with a focus on sustainability at Presidio Graduate School. I received that in 2012, and then for the last 2 years have been playing in the magazine space, the publishing world, and in April of 2014, Maren and I started down this journey of doing Conscious Company magazine.
And Maren?
My story is actually quite similar. After undergrad, I looked around and I felt like there were just so many problems that we were facing in the world today, and I actually felt a responsibility to be part of the solution. And treading lightly has always been something that I've been concerned with. And I did some traveling, and I actually brought William McDonough's book, Cradle to Cradle, with me. It was the only book that I carried, and reading that, I was just really inspired to try and figure out my way of having a positive impact in the world. I was a chef for about 15 years, and then I met Meghan when we worked together for Slow Money, and we stayed in touch. We were great friends, and we kept having this conversation. I'm also working on getting my MBA in Sustainable Systems from Pinchot University up in Seattle. I'm going to Bainbridge Graduate Institute, a program that they have. So Meghan and I guess, we just kept talking, and we have a lot of those same shared interests. And once we stumbled on this idea, we just felt we couldn't not do it.
Which leads me to the next question. Explain the we couldn't not do it. Explain the journey leading up to the founding and the inspiration to the founding of Conscious Company magazine.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll give you the shortened version of that story. But as I said, Meghan and I had been colleagues and coworkers, and we stayed in touch when our career paths took us in different directions. And last winter, it was late February or early March, we were out enjoying some lovely pizza and wine together, and I asked her, I was like, Meg, there's no magazine about sustainable business. Isn't that kind of unbelievable? And she literally didn't believe me. We went home that night to her house and did a bunch of research and realized that there wasn't a significant player in this space, at least not in the print world as well. And we kept talking about this idea, and we just decided that this was something that the world really needed right now. And we decided that it had to be print as a way of really expanding this conversation around sustainability and the power of business to be a force for good in the world.
How about, how hard was it to go from that epiphany and that brainstorming together to actually getting the magazine off the ground? Explain that journey, both the joy of it, but also the torture of it.
I think we can really emphasize the torture aspect of it. But we had this idea, and we actually incorporated in April 2014, and then seeking funding and knocked on a lot of doors, friends and family, and we weren't getting quite the traction that we needed. And so in August of 2014, we launched a Kickstarter campaign and attempted to raise $50,000 as seed money. We raised $42,000 and came up $8,000 short. And as many people might know, if you don't reach your goal on Kickstarter, you end up losing all of the funds that you've raised. So we had to literally watch $42,000 go down the drain. At the time, it was devastating, but it actually really provided that gut check moment that I feel like all entrepreneurs need.
where Maren and I had to sit down and say, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to keep moving forward? Is there a way to move forward? Can we figure this out? And we asked ourselves the question of, like, a year down the road, if we choose to abandon this, if we choose to quit now, how are we going to feel about this? Are we always going to wonder? And both of us, I think we took like a week to kind of digest, and we came back and decided, hell yes, let's go for this. And so we launched another crowdfunding campaign, this time on Indiegogo. And between that and a couple of fantastically generous family members, we were able to get the seed funding. And in around the end of September is when we figured out that we were a go, and we just busted it and got this first issue to press on December 15th and got it to market. And fortunate enough with that first issue, we managed to get national distribution through every Whole Foods market in the nation right out of the gate. So we did catch a huge lucky break with that. But leading up until that point, it was hard, but it was the way it was supposed to turn out.
So many people say print is dead, and you went counter to that. You decided to launch a print publication. Now I'm holding, and I wish this was one of our videotaped radio shows, because I'm holding your beautiful magazine. For our listeners out there, again, it's called Conscious Company Magazine. You could go to consciouscompany.com and subscribe. I would do that right away. Or you could buy some of these issues that I'm holding in my hand. We have John McKay, one of the rock stars of sustainability, the CEO of Whole Foods, on the cover. It's a gorgeous magazine. I mean, visually, you've got unbelievable advertisers in here. You've got tons of beautiful content, important content. I mean, print is dead. How did you ladies prove that print is not dead?
Well, we obviously had to start from the premise that we don't believe print is dead, and we did a ton of research around this when we were first starting out. One area that we found was that the Pew Center actually came out with a report saying that the reading behavior of people aged, I believe it was 16 to 29, is still actually anchored in print publication. And then we looked at it, and the largest area of growth within print publications is actually niche publications. So there might be print that is dying, but this area where we're playing in is definitely expanding. And so we operated from this premise of exactly what you just said. People still want a tangible product. People want to hold a product in their hand. They want to interact with it. The beauty of these photos and what we're putting together, it is best held. It is best to have the product in your hand to actually look at it. So the decision behind the print was based on that, but then we also wanted to have a medium where we could really expand the conversation around sustainability. And although we do have a digital component, the print magazine itself is the part that's really catching fire and taking off right now. And with being in every Whole Foods in the nation, when the shoppers of Whole Foods go through that line, every single time they go through the line, they see our magazine. And so it actually provides an access point, and it almost sparks an interest for people who might not be that interested in sustainability to potentially pick up a copy. So it was twofold, really, just expanding the conversation, and then also from a deeply held belief that print is not dead and people still want to interact with their products.
Well, you've proven it, because this magazine is just gorgeous, both visually and content-wise, and my congratulations to both of you, because you've created something that's really a work of art, both from a business perspective, plus also from a relevancy perspective. So congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, you both deserve that. Talk about some of the trends that you're seeing. You know, now that you're in the middle and, you know, you've started this journey and you're having conversations with leaders, thought leaders, sustainability leaders, and professionals from so many directions, and you have a newfound visibility because of your position and because of your platform. What trends have you noticed that you've discovered along the way during this journey?
Let me start off by saying perhaps the most exciting thing about our business and what we do is that we do get to have these conversations with so many remarkable people, whether it is someone who is an expert in their field or just an extremely successful entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who's just getting their idea off the ground. To be able to have the spectrum of conversations that we have with these people is just, it's truly a dream come true, and it's a big part of what fuels us to keep going.
Right.
Across the board, though, a lot of the individuals that we've spoken to have talked about transparency really being on the rise, and that is true because of really the internet and the speed of information, as well as just reviews and how anyone really with a connection to the internet has access to a lot of this information about any company or business or really person. And then a lot of the entrepreneurs have also spoken about how they feel compelled by this being the only way that they can do business, that not including and incorporating their values into the way that they operate their company, not driving it with mission and purpose being the source of fuel and inspiration. They just couldn't imagine running their company any other way. So, I mean, and there are actually lots of tangible business benefits that come from leading an organization in this way. Employee retention and happiness, and just your consumers also really responding positively. So I'd say across the board, those have been some of the more common threads in our interviews.
Got it. And, from a sustainability perspective, what steps are both of you taking to walk the walk instead of just talk the talk? I mean, in terms of your business and your personal lives.
Well, I'll speak to our business, and maybe I'll let Meghan chime in about our personal lives. One of the things that we grappled with a lot in choosing to go forward with making this a print publication was the pushback that we got from a lot of our colleagues who are working in the sustainability industry saying, how can you be producing a publication that is about sustainability and at the same time be using a resource like paper in order to do so? So we thought that, as Meghan mentioned, it was so important for us to be able to expand the conversation that print was not something that we could compromise on, but in order to make it something that didn't come with negative repercussions and impact, we specifically sought out a printer and are working with 2 certifications backing our print publication. And one is actually really interesting. It's a Boulder-based company called Print Release, and they actually plant trees in order to neutralize our paper consumption. And in the future, we actually hope to be able to plant more trees than we use so we can actually have a positive impact. And then in the way that we're setting up our company, we're also trying to be extremely sustainable and just conscientious, really thinking about the future of our business, how we build in wonderful benefits for employees that we don't even actually have yet. And then also in other little ways, we bank with a local credit union, things like that. So we're really actually truly trying to walk the walk as much as possible, support small independent businesses, local businesses, that sort of thing. So in larger ways and in small ways.
For our listeners who just joined us, we have the co-founders of Councious Company Magazine, Meghan Dunbar and Maren Keeley on with us right now. And if you want to buy an issue of their great magazine, you can go to CounciousCompanyMagazine.com. CounciousCompanyMagazine.com. Subscribe, buy an issue. I am a subscriber, and I have an issue right in my hands. It is a gorgeous magazine, chock full of critical and important information if you want to be part of the sustainability journey, whether you're just a consumer or you want to be a thought leader or a professional or an ecopreneur one day. Councious Company Magazine. Subscribe, buy it now. So let me go back, ladies, to the magazine. Favorite part to date of running the magazine? One thing.
One thing, I think it's really truly been the feedback that we've gotten from this first issue. I don't know what we were expecting, but the amount of emails and phone calls that we get from people, we've literally had people say, this is a masterpiece, it's changed my life, it's changed the way my son views business, and we're getting these on a daily basis, and it is the fuel to our fire. It is blowing us away, and we are sincerely touched by every single person who's reached out to us.
Similar to that, though, the feedback's been wonderful. When you were envisioning this, who was your target market? Was it millennials? Because I'm 52 years old, and I'm certainly not a millennial, but I'm in love with your magazine and everything you're doing. So who was your target market, and how did that turn out when you started getting the feedback?
Yeah, so we really had 3 target market segments, one being sustainability professionals and those working in the sustainability field. The second being conscious consumers, people who really want to support mission-driven businesses but might not know exactly how. And then third is really that millennial generation that you identified. They are looking for purpose and passion and values in the businesses that they support. And basically anyone who shares the values that we do is who we're looking for. So in terms of the people who have reached out to us, we've really heard a lot from that second segment, the conscious consumers, people who just want to do better with their purchases and they're excited to have a guide to help show them which businesses are truly doing this in a fantastic way.
I mean, if sustainability was a football game, you had the Tom Brady of sustainability on the cover of your first issue. Where you had the CEO of Whole Foods, John McKay. Where do you go from here, and what's your next dream person on some of your upcoming covers of your magazines?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a hard one for us to answer because it's a long list. We're thrilled to say that we have Chip Conley, the founder of Joie de Vivre Hotels, gracing the cover of our second issue. It's going to come out in April. And in the future, we would love to have, Elon Musk or Richard Branson, Lisa Jackson, Jessica Alba, Tony Hsieh. Al Gore is a huge source of inspiration for us. Yeah, it's a lengthy list, but there are some key names that we'd love to see.
You'll get them. If you had John McCain, you got Chip coming on, you'll get them. They're all going to be coming. I think they're going to be asking you to come on the cover of the magazine. How about who do you want to interview? If you could sit down with someone to interview and ask all the questions that have been burning on your mind, who would you love to interview for one of your upcoming issues?
Oh, wow. I think we'd love to get our hands on Steve Ells of Chipotle. I think we just are fascinated by what they're doing right now, and he's a hot topic, and we'd love to get his insights and figure out where they're going.
He's local. You guys, there's no reason that you ladies can't get him. He's a fellow Coloradan, right?
Yes, he is. We're trying. We're going to get him.
Steve, if you're listening now, you got to call these ladies and get in the magazine, Conscious Company magazine. So what's inspiring you right now? We're down to the last couple of minutes. What keeps you both going every day, and what's a constant source of inspiration to both of you?
Well, this is Maren. I'll jump in with my answer and then turn it over to Meghan. Personally, actually, she as my business partner has been a huge source of inspiration. Getting to work with someone who I respect and admire, and that's been a dream. And I guess out in the world, I feel like we're at this really interesting moment in history, and we're on the verge of a really cataclysmic shift because we need to be, but more and more people are seeing sustainability as something that we really need to focus on. And at the same time, social justice issues are rising to the forefront of so many conversations. And it is my hope for our future that we, as a global community these days, which I believe we are, just really start to consider more and more how we can just figure out ways of doing things in a better sense, in a way that doesn't come with negative consequences or repercussions, and in a way that truly makes this world a better place. So it's sort of a theoretical answer, but that's my answer. I'm going to let Meghan jump in as well.
We're down. I'm going to have Meghan and both of you, Meghan and Maren, come back in the near future because we've got to wrap up right now, unfortunately. But again, thank you both for Conscious Company Magazine. For our listeners out there, go to ConsciousCompanyMagazine.com. You can buy a single issue or you can subscribe. Thank you both, Maren and Meghan, for being visionary ecopreneurs who inspired us all. You both are truly living proof that green is good.